I still remember the chill I felt, not from the weather, but from the words Ava whispered when no one else could hear. I just don't like you. Simple, sharp, deadly. It was the last thing I expected from someone who was supposed to be my mentor. My name is Lisa. At 34, I had finally reached what I thought was my dream role, assistant manager at one of the most popular lifestyle stores in the city. The pay was good, the commute was short, and I had worked hard to earn that position. I walked in every morning with pride for a while. Ava, the store manager, had 5 years of experience and a reputation that wavered between respect and fear. When I started, she was professional, even warm. She guided me, offered tips, and sometimes praised my work. But once I started finding my footing, her attitude changed. The smiles disappeared. The critiques began, constant, biting, often over things that weren't even mistakes. At first, I chalked it up to high expectations. Maybe she was tough but fair. Maybe I was just overly sensitive. But then the corrections became performative, often in front of other staff. And there was always the same reminder. Remember, Lisa, I trained you. I kept my head down. I implemented new procedures that boosted sales. Mr. Daniels, the owner, even dropped by once to compliment my work. Eva's reaction? A tight smile. I didn't realize then how deep her resentment ran. The real punch came one Thursday night. Sandra, the general manager who rarely worked my shift, asked to speak with me. Her tone was sweet, her words anything but. Lisa, I don't think this is working out. I was stunned. What mistakes? She rattled off vague complaints, a misfiled order, a missed schedule update, things Ava had nitpicked but never officially documented. I defended myself, but it was clear Sandra's mind was made up. I left the office dazed. That's when Ava appeared. She leaned in, lips barely moving. I just don't like you. And then she walked away. The betrayal burned. I'd given everything to that job, and for what? So Eva could eliminate a perceived threat? That weekend, I turned my pain into purpose. I dug deep, determined to understand how Ava had so much pull. Turns out, she and Sandra had been friends for over a decade, joining our company together from another chain. But Ava made one big mistake, underestimating me. I remembered hearing whispers about Ava's bad month a while back. So I did what any woman scorned and tech-savvy would. I subscribed to a background search service. And there it was. Eva Lynn Walters, DWI arrest, Crestview County, 3 months ago. Her court date was coming up. In our industry, managers must report any legal charges to the licensing board. Eva hadn't. It wasn't just unethical, it was illegal. I called Mr. Daniels, laid out everything. He was stunned. By morning, Eva was gone. He called back with an offer. Her job. Manager. Better pay, more authority. And Sandra, still there, but now under scrutiny. The next day, I stepped into the store early. Mr. Daniels met me with a handshake and a stack of papers. She doesn't know you've been promoted yet, he added with a smile. Perfect. The door chimed. I knew that rhythm. Eva. She stopped cold when she saw me at the manager's desk, keys on my belt. What are you doing here? She spat. Working, I said. Then, after a beat, as store manager. Her face turned pale. She hissed something about me not lasting, but I stood firm. You're right. I'm not like you. She turned to storm off, but not before I delivered the final blow. Your court. Date's the 14th, right? Good luck. She flinched, and just like that, she was gone. The store felt warmer, lighter, mine. But the story wasn't over, because Ava wasn't the only one with secrets, and I was just getting started. Unsettling word of Ava's firing spread, quickly, as gossip always does. Some employees were shocked, others less so. A few even whispered they'd always known something was off, but had been too afraid to speak up. I let the rumors swirl without adding fuel. I had a store to run, not drama to stir. But the calm didn't last. Late one afternoon, as I finalized inventory reports, there was a light knock on my office door. Sandra. The woman who once treated me like I barely existed now stood awkwardly, like she wasn't sure how to begin. "Mind if I come in?" she asked. I gestured to the chair across from me. "Of course." She sat, nervously adjusting her bag. "I just wanted to check in. I know things have been unusual lately." I nodded, letting her speak. "I didn't realize Ava hadn't reported the DWI," she continued. "She never told me. If I had known—" "You would have done what?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. Sandra blinked, thrown off. "I would have made sure the proper steps were taken." I didn't push further. She looked genuinely uneasy, guilty even. Maybe she hadn't known everything Ava was hiding, or maybe she was just trying to rewrite her own role in it. "Anyway, Mr. Daniels is pleased with how you've stepped up," she added. "I just wanted you to know that." Translation. She knew where the power now rested. I thanked her and she left quickly, trailing the scent of belated loyalty. That night, while organizing Eva's leftover files, I stumbled across a locked drawer in the cabinet. The key was taped beneath the desk, likely forgotten in Eva's hasty exit. Inside were stacks of notes. At first glance, they looked like harmless paperwork. But as I read through them, my stomach twisted. Ava had kept a running log about me. Inflated accounts of tiny mistakes, falsified customer complaints, and even fictional conversations. But what chilled me most was a printed email from Sandra. "I agree she's too ambitious. Keep documenting. Everything, even the small stuff. Mr. Daniels trusts my judgment. If we show her as a problem, we can make sure she doesn't last." The date? 2 months before my firing? The betrayal hit harder than I expected. Ava may have pulled the trigger, but Sandra had loaded the gun. I spent the rest of the evening scanning every document, creating a detailed digital archive. I wouldn't act out of emotion. Not this time. I had learned. Patience is power. For the next few weeks, I played my role flawlessly. Early mornings, smooth operations, smiling leadership. I treated Sandra with polite professionalism, watching closely. Every nervous glance, every rushed meeting, she knew something had shifted. She didn't know how much. Quietly, I started building my case. Logs, notes, offhand remarks. Sandra was careless, thinking I was still the assistant manager she once dismissed. She made comments about employees being replaceable, implied that I was still doing okay for now. Meanwhile, I was rebuilding the store's culture. Staff who had once kept their heads down began to open up. Without Ava's toxic energy, everything started to breathe again. Then, the final puzzle piece fell into place. One evening, Mia, a younger employee, stayed behind after closing. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Back when Ava was here, did you know Sandra told us not to come to you with problems? She said you were still learning and might make things worse." My jaw clenched, but I kept my expression neutral. "She said that?" Mia nodded. I didn't agree, but Ava scared most of us. I thanked her. But inside, I felt a final click. This wasn't just sabotage. It had been systematic. The next morning, I scheduled a meeting with Mr. Daniels. I arrived with a full binder, emails, statements, documentation. I presented it calmly, professionally. He listened silently, his expression tightening with every page. When I finished, he leaned back, rubbing his temples. "I trusted Sandra," he murmured. "I understand," I replied, "but you deserve to know." He nodded. "She'll be dealt with immediately." By Monday, Sandra's office was empty. The whispers started. By lunch, everyone knew. Suspended pending further investigation, gone within the week. I didn't boast. I didn't share details. I didn't have to. The results spoke for themselves. The team worked better. Customers noticed. Even Mr. Daniels visited more often, casually mentioning how impressed he was. "You've really turned this place around," he said. I simply smiled. Weeks passed. Then one afternoon, the front door chimed unexpectedly. I stepped onto the floor and froze. Ava, disheveled, eyes hollow, clutching a folder. When she saw me, her face paled. "You," she whispered. "Me," I replied, calm and steady. "I need to speak with Mr. Daniels," she said, voice shaking. "He's not available," I said, "and I don't think he's taking meetings today. I deserve a second chance. It was just a mistake. You don't understand." "I understand perfectly," I cut in. "You tried to end my career over jealousy. You manipulated records and thought you'd never get caught." She opened her mouth, but I stepped closer. "And now you're here, asking for a favor from the person you tried to break. The answer is no." Her eyes brimmed. She turned, folder still clutched to her chest, and walked out. No dramatics. No yelling, just quiet final defeat. And I didn't feel victorious. I felt free. I had survived. I had stayed true to myself, played the long game, and come out stronger. Ava and Sandra were gone. The store thrived. The team grew confident. Mia pulled me aside after I was named regional manager. "Thank you," she said, "for standing up, not just for you, for all of us." I smiled. Sometimes, the best revenge is simply doing better than they ever expected. "And doing it quietly," she added. Exactly. I no longer thought about Eva or Sandra. I didn't need to. Their legacy was gone. Mine was just beginning.